Welcome everybody. We're really excited to have you here. This is a Q&A that we're recording for some of the screenings that we're not going to be able to get to live. We're really excited to have you here with Zander, the impact producer of A Run for More, and Frankie Gonzales-Wolfe, the star of Run for More, and I'm Ray. I'm the director of A Run for More.
Ray, I have a question for you. Can you talk a bit about why you wanted to make the film and the inspiration behind it?
Absolutely. Um, so in 2016, I was really interested in better understanding um, why volunteers decide to work on political campaigns. Um, and I felt like in reading about the presidential campaign, I hadn't heard a lot about the role that campaign volunteers had played. So really, I wanted to make a film that was going to explore the role that campaign volunteers play um, in our democracy. And so when I was living in San Antonio and I went to the Hillary Clinton office, and that's where I met Frankie and pitched her on the idea of working on a film together about the role that campaign volunteers play. Um, and that was the genesis of the idea. Um, a couple of years later, Frankie called me and let me know that she was going to run for office, and um, I said, "Do you think I might be able to continue filming?" And she said yes. And so the film evolved organically over a period of years to not just being about the role that volunteers play in American democracy, but tracing Frankie's journey from being a volunteer to actually running for office and attempting to do something that um, nobody had ever done before, and that was be a openly transgender elected official in Texas. Um, and yeah, I was just really inspired by Frankie's commitment to um, overcome any obstacles that she encountered on the campaign. And I really, wanted to make a film that she faced, but also the things that she overcame. Um, yeah.
So I have a question for both of you actually. What's your highest aspiration with the film? Where do you hope to see the film do or go or be?
For me personally, I would love to see it everywhere, everywhere and anywhere that people truly want to be um, inspired, not just by the journey that I was on, but by the voice, right? Like, the trans, when we talk about trans voices, I think that the more people hear our stories, the more people will start paying attention. Right now, with legislation and also many states are taking up all these anti-trans laws, and it's not because and I guess in every story there has to be some sort of villain, and these villains are being created, and we happen to be the target of that. I think now more than ever, it's important to get these voices in front of people so it shows that we are so much more than the stigma that they continue to place upon us. That we are productive members of society, that we are trying to make a change in our communities, that we are here to make a difference. So for me personally, that is I would love to see it everywhere and anywhere and every household. And I'm very prepared. I work in politics. My skin is very thick, and I know what's going to come from this. I've already seen some of it on my social media where people have sent me derogatory messages, and you know, and I'm okay. And I'm okay. It's not acceptable, but I am personally okay. Because their words don't faze me because I don't entertain it. And that kind of their words, I don't give their words power. So I feel the more we project ourselves into that, the more we're going to be telling our story, our side, and it's important for me to show it to anyone and everyone.
Yeah, I would just echo everything that Frankie said, and just briefly add that I think the you know the thing that I'm most excited about with this Power of Representation community screening tour is um, having the film be in community with people who have been really thinking about these issues for a long time. Um, and I know the community organizations that we're working with are really invested in um, advocating for trans equality and making progress where we can and fighting back against um, you know, the bigotry that, a lot of these state legislatures are pushing out in legislation. So I think to me, the thing that I've been really happy about with this film and the aspiration that I have for this film is just having it be a tool to advance some of these conversations. And you know, yes, it's something where I think there is an aspirational, inspirational message to it, but I also think there's concrete things that people can take away as conversational pieces, and that to me is really important. Um, and yeah, you know, I just want to echo that there's not a lot of um, media about transgender people that is super positive, and I think that this is this is a piece of media that is going against that trend, and I'm really honored to be working with both of you all and the rest of our team to be getting this film out in the world in that way.
Mm.
I will also add A Run for More will be broadcast on PBS starting May 15th.
Yeah, we're really excited about having this opportunity to screen on PBS beginning May 15th and going through the end of Pride Month, both streaming and on broadcast television. It's a great opportunity to get the film out in the world in the way that Frankie was talking about.
Frankie, I'm sure everybody's curious. What are you doing now politically? What's next for you?
Great question. So right now, I have truly been focused on a lot of things, but primarily just being the great chief of staff to the county commissioner of Precinct 1. Very honored and privileged to have this opportunity to be able to work in the field. You don't always have to be the elected official to be able to make a change in your community. I get to be equally as beneficial in the role that I serve currently. And I'm in school again, working toward achieving, I guess, another degree. But yeah, and also contemplating what my next political move is going to be. I know, as you know, as we as a group have been traveling around the country and had an opportunity to be able to speak to many people and audiences about, uh, what my plan is. That always seems to come up, like, are you going to run for office again? Yes, I think I am. But this go round, it's going to be a little more strategic. It's going to be a little more thought put into it. It's going to be more intentional. And that's truly based upon my learning experience from going through this process, running for city council. I learned so much about myself that I wasn't aware of. I learned so much more about the community I wasn't fully aware of. And I think that has really helped me understand what is it that I'm truly wanting to make a difference in now. And I think a lot of that has shifted for me. And now I'm focused a lot more on, trans rights, trans awareness, trans education. And I think my platform and mindset has changed immensely, that those are the areas that I want to make sure that I hone in on, and that I continue to talk to the people of Texas, and the people that this would affect, especially within the LGBTQIA plus community, that I have an opportunity to be able to speak to them, listen to them, and then forge my thought process, and then dive into the political pool and being a candidate once more, but with a more specific goal in mind.
Frankie, can you actually talk a little bit about what it's like to be a trans chief of staff? What it's like to be in those rooms with people?
So yes, it. I'm. I guess in the past, let's take this back a little bit. In the past, I knew that I was always vocal. I knew how I was as an individual. I never really had in my head visualized this idea of Frankie, you're a trans chief of staff. I just thought of myself as Frankie, you're Frankie. You're just going to go in there and you're just going to go do what you do best. But now it's changed for me a little bit. I'm more intentional about displaying who I am and ensuring people are fully aware, because as a trans person, I want to be able to take up more space in the areas that I'm in. I live in Texas, so it's no secret that I live in a very conservative state, and I deal with a lot of conservative individuals that have certain beliefs, and whether they show me or don't, it doesn't phase me one bit. I go in there taking up as much oxygen as I can in that room, letting people know who I am, and participating. At the very end of the day, I am the chief of staff. They're needing something. They're going to have to work with me or with the county in some capacity, and I'm the gateway to that. So I ensure that people realize that although I may be a trans chief of staff, I'm smart, I'm educated, I'm going to do my job very efficiently and effectively. And I show that by my ability to be able to do a great job. So I take pride in my work. I take pride in who I am. And now I live very proudly in my skin, and I'm very comfortable in my skin. And I think that has really reflected in my work. So I no longer, I think in the past, where although I simply wanted just to be a woman, I think I still held back just a tiny bit, and truly projecting, because I was still in that area of not making, I didn't want to make people uncomfortable. But now I don't do that anymore. Now I don't care if people are uncomfortable. I won't be uncomfortable so that others can be comfortable. They just have to own their reaction to actions. And I just continue to live out loud and proud. And I am who I am, spiritually, mentally, physically. And that is how I work. That is how I process things. And that is what makes me thrive every day in doing what I do as a chief of staff.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that, Frankie. It's always interesting to get a peek behind the curtain or behind the door. I don't know. Um,
What you
I'm
calling
kind
me, Oz?
um, Frankie, can you talk a little bit about how you see change best made? Your theory behind how change is brought forward into these rooms and what people can do to get involved?
Sure. Context. The way I feel that it is best done is by, there's two parts for me for this. I always talked about this seat at the table. I've always been wanting this seat at the table because that's where I was hoping that we were going to be able to make the most change, right? And this is the reason why I ran for city council, without realizing that I already somewhat had a seat at the table, because for 20 something years, I have been working with many of these politicians. I've elected them, I volunteered for them, I was hired by them to work on campaigns. And I realized that I had access to these people, and I wasn't utilizing my voice. And it wasn't until I was running for office that that was actually shown to me. You're not utilizing your voice properly, because I had a seat at the table. So with that being said, is now I realize that there was an interesting way to be able to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish by taking what I do working in the inside of the world. So working in the inside of politics, where I'm already at with the seat at the table, and working with the activists who are, outside dealing with and on the front line of what's truly going on and how they're being affected by this. And I think together, as they are knocking down this wall from the outside, I get to knock down the wall from the inside, which means that together we're going to be able to, knock that wall down faster. We're going to meet each other so much faster. And I think that's why it's so important that there are more trans people, people within the LGBTQIA plus community get involved in politics, get elected. And it's not necessarily being the elected official, it's working in these offices. And that is one of the things that I felt was so pivotal when I started looking at the accountability aspect of many of the people that were elected right now. See, they were quick to want us to help them get there. However, they wouldn't hire us, because helping them get elected means that we were an asset to them because they had free labor. But hiring us to work in their office meant no. See, we're in Texas. Now you're a liability, because I still have to have a specific image. I would say, look, that wasn't working for me. So now that's where my voice started becoming a little louder. If you want to use me, you're going to hire me. And I think the accountability started to come into play. And so I think the more that we hold our elected officials accountable to diversity and inclusion, and just not allow them to talk about it, but to practice it, then we become more effective, because now we are part of the inner circle. We are part of the seat at the table, because now we have an ear of the elected officials. We are there working. So I think when we have both of those worlds working together, we knock down that wall so much faster, and it's going to be so much more impactful. And I can't wait till we finally are able to do that.
That's great.
Wait, you got me really excited. I thought you were well emotional on that one. Okay. Whew. Okay.
Thanks for sharing that, Frankie. That's really powerful. Xander, I'm wondering if there are some things that some themes or ideas that in working on this film were important for you to share.
I think another big theme in the film is the importance of community. In Bell Hooks's book, All About Love, she talks about how in our culture right now, there is such a presumption that self-love comes from a place of individualism, how it comes from, oh, we have to take care of ourselves. When in reality, yeah, we can each individually take care of ourselves, but there's so much more joy to be had in communion when we share our joys, when we share our sorrows. Somebody once said to me, when we share our joy is doubled, and when we share our hardships are halved. And so, community, important. One more thing that's really important that the film showcases is how important it is to be true to yourself and stick up for that no matter what other people think about it. I like Frankie mentioned, we've done a few of these Q&As, and each and every time it's just astounding to see how unapologetically yourself you are. And if we all had that level of confidence in ourselves, I think the world might be a little bit of a better place. But yeah, jury's still out there.
Xander, can you tell us about the Power of Representation community screening tour and why we're embarking on this?
Sure. Yeah. So me and you had talked about how the film has a really meaningful message and how it really has this opportunity to create some substantive change in the world beyond just, in theory, changing people's hearts and minds at film festivals. Um, because not a lot of people have access to film festivals. Uh, as we started talking, we came up with this idea for the community screening tour to bring the film directly to queer, trans, non binary, Latino communities where they're able to directly see who they are reflected in the film. And so we really wanted to be able to offer up A Run for More as a tool for community organizations to offer the film to their community and gather and talk about why representation is important and how we can all collectively help build a more sound democracy where we all have a say and our voices are all heard.
I would just add, Xander, that it's been a real honor to have Frankie alongside us getting this film out in the world, not just at the film festivals, but at these community screening events. Um, Frankie's Frankie, your presence at these opportunities to talk about the film have just brought so much depth, and like another layer of realness to these conversations, and we're just really grateful for that. So thank you.
Thank you.
I also do want to thank Frankie and Ray for both showing up and creating this film and really being the backbone of why we're even all here in the first place. Um, do both of you actually have something you'd love for people to walk away from the screening with in particular?
Me personally, is hope. I'm hoping people would take away hope from this film that, although some of us may be living in, states that are currently trying to hush us, silence us, ban us, it doesn't take away from the fact that we exist. Our voices matter. And the more we come together as a community and power forward, they can't stop us, and I think that from this film, I want them, yeah, I want y'all to be inspired by hope. Hope that there's going to be a better tomorrow, knowing that there are people out there fighting every day so that we can live better lives. And that is what I'm hoping people will take from it.
I would echo everything that Frankie said, and also just add briefly that I think we all have a role to play in working to create the future that we want, and that the most important thing is to figure out exactly how we can impact that future in the way that we want to see it. Um, it was it's been a really amazing journey of 7 years to get the film to where it is today, um, and I really feel so grateful to have had the experience of working on this film and getting to know Frankie, getting to know you, Xander, and the rest of the team, in trying to have a conversation about these really important issues. And I hope that the people who watch the film um, can find their own way to try and work towards the future that they want.
Thank you both, and thank you everybody for coming and watching A Run for More. Please check out our social media at A Run for More. Again, we will be streaming on PBS starting May 15th through the end of Pride Month, and there's more to come, so stay tuned.